What's good, fam? Welcome back to the channel. This is Constant Sports. We got some things to talk about today. So, news just came out that one of the greatest basketball players who have ever stepped foot on a basketball court has announced that she is retiring after 20 years. You know, the GOAT, Diana Taurasi. Um, Diana Taurasi was definitely a player that night. She wasn't everyone's cup of tea, right? Like, she was feisty, but she backed up everything she talked on the court, right? Three-time national championship, three times champion while playing in UConn, a three-time champion in the WBA, gold medals for Team USA. She won her Rookie of the Year in 2004, MVP in 2009. Like, she was a player that everyone wanted to play with, but everyone hated playing against. She made you pay for every mistake that you did, right? Someone who is an 11-time All-Star is that's a big deal. Um, and she's definitely someone that the game will miss, and it just keeps adding to all of these greats who are now leaving the W and moving on to bigger and better things. You know, we had Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Candace Parker, Sylvia Fowles, Simone Augustus, all who have hung up their jersey and their shoes for their career. Um, and she's definitely going to be missed in the W. I know Phoenix is now trying to figure out what's the next step for them after losing Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner in the same year. I'm sure Phoenix is they're gonna figure something out. They got a lot of good pieces this off season to add around Clea Copper, so it'd be interesting to see where Phoenix goes from here on out. So big shout outs to DT. Thank you for the 20 years that you have graced us with. Um, and I hope the best for you and your family. And happy to see what comes next, what the future holds. Um, so yeah. Now it's time to switch to women's college basketball. New rankings dropped for week 17, and the changes that happened was what I think everyone saw happening, right? With Notre Dame losing to NC State in a double overtime battle, they dropped two positions, which now moves Texas up to the number one seed, which we haven't seen Texas as the number one seed in a very, very long time. Um, So now Texas holds that seed. UCLA takes number two. Um, UCLA got some number one votes along with USC. USC got one vote. Um, and then now you have number three sitting. Notre Dame is now sitting there. Obviously, they sit with three losses. And this last loss to NC State, who is, I believe, they were the 16th team at the time. So dropping two positions is rightfully so. That's kind of been the trend when those number one teams lose a game, they drop in two spots. So nothing too drastic. Teams 4 through 7 stayed the same with USC, UConn, South Carolina, and LSU. All those teams won their games that they played this past weekend, so they pretty much stay where they are. You got UNC comes up a position to number 8, while NC State bounces up 4 spots for taking down the number one team. Now they're sitting at number 9, and TCU is hanging in there, still at number 10. Uh, they've been having some rough goes at it, but they've been pulling out games and winning. Uh, Haley Van Leith is having herself a season, and she's definitely showing the WNBA scouts everything that she has in her bag. Um, Number 11 team is Tennessee, who bounced up 4 positions, and then Ohio State dropped 4 positions after their loss that they had. Um, what I've noticed is for NC State, they really crowded the paint when it came to Notre Dame. And as you know, Notre Dame has they have the guards who dribble penetrate, but they like to take their jump shots around that through free throw line. Uh, and with NC State crowding the paint, it was hard. They played a lot of zone defense, and it made it tough for Notre Dame to do a lot of the things that they're comfortable with. Uh, Notre Dame definitely had a bad shooting night. Like they wasn't really. It was a lot of up and downs for that game. So to see where it went and how it for Notre Dame to make it a double overtime game shows something, but NC State showed more grit and it seemed like they wanted it more. Uh, so I think that was the most interesting part about that game. Um, and with now the number one team, Texas, their last game was brutal to watch. The first half, they only had 20 points for the entire first half, while Georgia had 16, I believe it was. Um, the final score is a totally, that second half was a totally different game. For Georgia to only end the game with 26 points blows my mind. From them having compared to Texas, a very decent first half, to them just completely not showing up in the second half, it's a, it's a testament to Texas defense and their resilience to bounce back. And Texas seems to do that a lot. You'll have a half where Booker isn't scoring. She's not putting up the points that she's used to, but then that second half, she gets her win. Her legs are now comfortable with moving. Her jumps are different. When she shoots her jump shot, she's a lot more comfortable. Um, so I do believe that's something that they have to figure out how she can be consistent the entire game. Um, because them only scoring 20 points in the first half is not something they can ever do again. Um, Especially as the number one team, everyone's going to be gunning for you. Everyone's going to give you their best. They were already giving you your best when you wasn't the number one team, but now that you are, um, scoring 20 points and a half is not going to work. Um, so they definitely need to figure out their shooting woes that they're having. And I'm noticing a lot of teams are having shooting woes at this point in the season, which might be a little fatigue across the board, which is pretty normal. It's not like these are short seasons. Sometimes some of these teams are having long stretches in between games. They might play on Tuesday and not play again until Sunday. That's an extremely long stretch in between games. So they definitely need to figure out how to keep the momentum going when they have 5+ days in between games. The Oklahoma came up 3 positions to the number 13. Kansas State is sitting, they dropped 2 positions. They're sitting 25-4. Um, Duke dropped 5. They're now sitting at number 16. Well, University of Kentucky dropped a position. They're sitting at number 15. Obviously, they had the game against LSU where they lost. Um, and then to round out the 25, you have Baylor sitting at 17. West Virginia is at 18. 19 is Maryland. Oklahoma's 20 is Alabama. Uh, Alabama, I feel, is a little bit of a sleeper. They're 22-6, but they're a very good team. They have shooters, they can defend. They just need to figure out how to put it all together in the game. Oklahoma State is sitting at 21. Creighton, the only other team, Big East with UConn in the top 25 still. They're sitting at 23-4. Then you have Michigan State, uh, who is in at 23. Florida State at 24, and Louisville is sitting at 25. The Florida State has been bouncing back and forth in and out of the top 25 this entire season. I would like to see them a lot more consistent so that they can rise up in the AP. They are a very good team, but they're led by a freshman who is phenomenal. And with them being behind her and assisting with the points, she's not always the only one who's scoring all of the points, but there is a huge difference in between how much she scores and the second leading scorer on the team. Um, it's going to cause a lot of fatigue, which is what happens when they have these games where they have a very good game, and then the next game they'll lose because some things are off, and it's definitely becoming fatigue. It's the same thing that I see with USC. You have Juju who will score 38 points, and the second highest scorer have 14 points. That's a huge difference in points wise when it comes to the game, especially in women's basketball. There are a lot of players on these teams who can put up 20 points a game. So you definitely need the consistency from your role players, just like you require the consistency from your star players. Um, so that is the top 25. Uh, the coaches poll is the same. They didn't really change as much either. Uh, Only difference is they have Notre Dame sitting at they dropped Notre Dame 3 positions, sitting at number 4, with USC coming up to number 3 position. Um, but is at that time in the season where the coaches poll and the AP start to match a little bit more. We're getting closer to March Madness, so they want to make sure everything is as close as possible when it comes to picking these 1 through 4 seeds. Um, And these polls are pretty much where those seeds come from, is from the AP and the coaches polls. I know there are a lot of different rankings that come out that are just absurd, but these are the 2 polls that matter when it comes to the dance, right? Um, so we're gonna keep watching the polls, watching these games. We got a couple good ones today. Uh, when Got a couple good games today. Tomorrow is a very big game. Big week for a lot of or big day for a lot of the teams. And Thursday, obviously, you have a lot of the teams playing on Thursday as well. That's when you have a lot of your heavy hitters that will be playing is on Thursday. So the next few weeks is going to be excited because everyone who is on that cusp of maybe having the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed, or on the cusp of maybe making the dance or not, they're going to be giving every team they play everything they got. And this is coming to the time where basketball gets exciting. Uh, so please continue to watch and support these ladies as they play the game that we love. Please like, comment, subscribe. Peace, love, happiness.